Welcome to Seize Your Business podcast and video blog. My name is Kevin O'Flaherty from O'Flaherty Law. My radio partner Jim Wazak couldn't be here today, but if you need insurance for basically all the expenses that come along with cancer, you should check his contact info out on our website because he can help you out. Our guest today is Ron Bandyk from the Grout Medic of Southwest Chicagoland, and we're going to talk about ideas for using technology in service businesses. So thanks so much for being with us.
Glad to be here.
Pleasure to have you. Tell us a little bit about Grout Medic, what you do, and what your background in business is.
Okay. Yeah, we've been in business for 21 years now. We do pretty much any kind of tile, grout, or natural stone maintenance, restoration, repairs in the home. We do some commercial and work as well, but the primary area of our business and expertise is in the residential market. So, we go into homes and we can help them with floors, whether it be marble and travertine or just ceramic, porcelain, the tile, the grout, and then we do a lot of work in bathrooms and showers. A lot of bathrooms have issues with mold and mildew buildup over time. We use a steam cleaning process for a lot of what we do, so we don't use any harsh chemicals, but the steam that we use is about 280 degrees and kills mold and mildew naturally, so we don't use any harsh chemicals, and we can usually bring a shower area back to near new look condition, for a very minor cost, and redo the caulk. And we also do some other things like water damage repair when that's appropriate. We partner with a company that does tub and shower pan reglazing as well.
Okay, so I have a question for you. I've got some tile in my front area, and it's like stone. It's supposed to be a little jagged, but some of the pieces kind of jut out, at weird angles, and it seems like it's shifting a little bit since we put it in. Is that something that you guys can help with, like resetting tile?
Yeah, I mean something like that. I mean, there's a couple options. Depending on how much it's lifted. If it's a natural stone, it can be ground down.
Okay.
So that would be one way. The other thing, we could do is, if you had extra pieces of tile, we could remove the old tile and clean that area up and reset a new piece of stone in there, and make sure that we get it level. And then we typically with that type of project, we would, regrout the area around those tiles that have been replaced, and then we clean and we do this color seal process to the grout so it's all consistent so you can't tell that it's been repaired.
Yeah, well, we may be talking offline, but how long have you been doing this for?
Well, I actually bought the business back in 2011, so I've been doing it for 5+ years at this point. But we've been in business for 21 years. So
okay.
The Grout Medic was started in 1996.
You guys are a franchise, right?
We are, yeah. Yeah, actually the franchise itself was started in Naperville, and that gentleman sold the territory to someone and started selling franchises. There's about 60 or so franchises now around the country, 2 others here in the Chicagoland area. And then back in 2011, I purchased this area from the gentleman who was running it, since that early on stage.
Same year I started, March of 2011 was when so me and you have both been in business long enough that we've kind of ironed out some of the kinks, hopefully,
yeah.
And it's starting to operate the way we want it, and you probably discovered some things that make your business a little bit more efficient, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we wanted to talk about today, is you said there's a bunch of cool, you don't usually think, a service like Grout Medic, that's not the first thing that you think of. Law firms usually think, you got to have like scanners, you have to have IT, you have to have technology. But it sounds like you've been using technology a lot in your business to make yourself more efficient.
Yeah, when I bought the business, the previous owner, didn't really use much technology at all. And some of my background, I was in some commercial real estate, before buying the business, and so I had a pretty good background in that. And so I looked for ways to, try and make things more efficient. So we do a lot of estimates. We'll go into the home, take a look at a project, write up what we think the work is that needs to be done and how much it's going to cost, and then you have that piece of paper. Well, that piece of paper needs to go to a couple places. I mean, if the person schedules the job, it needs to get to the technician who's going to actually do the work. If they choose at that point to not schedule the job, it's got to go to somebody who ultimately follows up on it. So that piece of paper, when it was just a piece of paper, had to move around, and sometimes it would get lost, or sometimes it would be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And so what I started to do was look at ways to improve that. And so I started to take those and scan them, and then we also started to use Google Calendars for all of our scheduling of estimates as well as scheduling of jobs. And so once those estimates could be scanned, we would attach them to the estimate, and so they were there, and the person who would be following up, if it was a job that didn't close right away, they could pull it up on their computer wherever they were and take a look at what the estimate was for and follow up with the customer and speak knowledgeably about what it is we were hoping to do for them.
Let's dig into this a little bit, because this is not something that's specific to your business, or it's a solution to a problem that's not specific to your business. Because in our business, we have, we'll have an initial consultation, which is the equivalent of you going in to do an estimate, and we'll have an attorney retention agreement that needs to be signed. They may sign up at that point. They may not.
Sure.
If they don't sign up, we want to make sure that there's an automatic follow-up process until they tell us, no, we don't want your services. If they do sign up, we want to make sure that they get a copy of everything. Our office manager knows to set up the file, and basically an automatic, systematic process that happens where me as an attorney, I don't have to think too hard about what's going to happen. What are the logistics? So you started off with a piece of paper, and you were given this piece of paper around everybody. Are you doing it on I know a lot of people use like iPads and electronic signatures, and break down the process and what your system looks like, because this is something that's applicable to most service businesses.
Well, it's changed over time. What we used to do originally was I would take estimates home, and then every evening scan them in and put them on a Google Drive, and we'd file them by the customer name so that they could be searched for and found very easily. And then we would attach those into a Google Calendar for that estimate, so it always kind of followed that along. And then the hard
copy. Calendar entry would be the date that you had agreed with the client to come in and do their work?
To do their estimate originally. So
okay.
like my if you look at my calendar today, I have 6 or 7 estimates. So So
the calendar entry exists before you've got this.
Right.
This
so when they call in to schedule a time for us to come out and take a look at their project and give them a price for it, we set up an item appointment in Google Calendars, and that's what I use to manage my day.
I didn't know you could attach documents to Google Calendar. That's helpful. So then you can just search the Google Calendar for their name.
Yeah, you can search the Google Calendar. You can go into Google Drive directly and search for the name and find it. So we originally started out doing it kind of every evening, and I had some people helping me with that. But then I eventually found an app that does scanning and does a really good job we don't need a real high quality document. So I come out of a house now, I pull out my phone, open up the app, I scan it, I quickly change the file name so that it has the customer name, and then there's a shortcut to it. It saves it right to the Google Drive. Then I go back into my Google Calendar and I attach it right there. And then if we have scheduled that job, I'll send a message to our scheduling person to let them know the details of it. The estimate's already scheduled there. She will then take that and copy that estimate meeting over as a job and create a job, and she'll move that into one of our technicians' calendars so that they then have the estimate and they have the details of what that job is going to be, and it shows up in their calendar on the date that they're scheduled to be out there.
I imagine that what I like about your system is that you're doing everything right there on the spot, or at least your part of it. You're getting the thing where it needs to go right away without, if you have to take stuff home and scan it, as you get busier and busier, that's something that can get pushed
it does
back,
become a challenge.
And then maybe that falls through the cracks. And the problem with the struggle I always have with these types of systems is making sure that there's so many little steps that have to take place. And they're all easy little steps, but sometimes they're done by 2 or 3 different people in the process. And making sure that there's not a breakdown in the process. Yeah. And it seems like you've got a pretty repeatable process and everybody knows the role. Do you have problems with breakdowns in the process?
If anything breaks down, it's the issue that you described. So if I'm running late for my next appointment, I may not right then scan it, and I have a file system, and there is a process. I try to go back and make sure that everything has been scanned, but sometimes that slips, and so sometimes we'll be trying to track down the hard copy to make sure that we get the scan up there and into the system. But that's pretty rare at this point. The system does work pretty well.
What's the app that you use for your...
That's a good question. Let's see what it's called. It's a...
Is it basically like a fillable PDF app, or...
It's called Scanner Pro.
Oh, okay.
It's by company called Reedy.
So you do still have the hard copy paper, and then you take a picture of it.
Yeah, so it activates my camera and scans it, and it tries to crop to get the right document size, because there's information or whatever it might be sitting on around it. So it does most of that pretty well automatically, and then it allows you to set up a shortcut. So within Google Drive, we use Google Drive for several things, but estimates being one of them. So you can create a shortcut so that I just push a button and it uploads right into the Google Drive.
Okay, that's cool. I have a client. I'm sure he wouldn't mind me giving him some free publicity here, but his business is Matrix Exteriors, and they basically do roofing. And same concept as you. They come and give an estimate. What they do is he's got whenever he has me prepare a contract, he asks me to prepare it in fillable PDF form. So we do the Word document and we approve the version of the contract, and then it doesn't take too much. And I use Adobe to turn the regular PDF into something that he can on his iPad just fill out on the spot. So it's not that much more efficient. It skips the step of taking the picture. But he just brings his iPad, and his sales guys bring their iPads around. They sign the contract, and then he does the rest of the process is similar to yours, where he just kind of shoots it off where it needs to go. But getting rid of the scanning entirely, taking a picture makes it a lot easier.
Well, that is kind of something I've looked at. We haven't really figured out exactly how to make that most efficient. But I have an iPad Pro, so it's about the size of a piece of paper, and so you could potentially get to a point where you're just writing it, up on the iPad. The issue is we do like to leave the customer a hard copy. So we have a 3-part form, and we'll usually leave them the top copy, whether they book or not. If they book, we'll know when we're coming, so they have that. Or if they don't, they still will have a copy that they can refer back to when we're following up. Or sometimes customers are just kind of checking things out, and it could be months. We've with the follow-up process sometimes book stuff, a year later.
So what's your follow-up process like?
Well, we take the piece of paper, and then that does go to a person if the job isn't scheduled, and then that person starts to make phone calls. They'll call, a week or so after we're out there to just kind of check in. And then make regular calls on a schedule, kind of going through the open
Do you use like
estimate.
a CRM system for that or anything, or how does the person get triggered to keep following?
That is a manual system. We don't right now have a CRM system, but that's something that I'm actually working with our franchise. They do have something that we haven't adopted yet that would allow for that and make it more systematic. Right now it's just a tickler file with the hard copies to make the phone calls. Yeah.
We use something called Pipedrive for that. It seems like the front end of your process is a little more advanced than mine. I'm like, the back end. It seems to work pretty well for us. It's an app called Pipedrive. You can get it on your phone. You can get it on the computer. But it's got little. You can create like a little movable square for the person that you can dig into and see any notes or upcoming activities. It's almost like they call it a deal in Pipedrive. And it allows you to move that square from initial follow up to 2-day follow up to 1-week follow up.
Okay.
And you can see when an activity is due or overdue.
Uh-huh.
Make the follow up call, move it to the next line of the pipeline if they don't answer. And then you'll automatically see exactly where everybody's at. So once something gets into Pipedrive, I know that it's not going to be falling off the cliff.
Yeah.
Where we had the issue was making sure that whichever attorney is handling the consultation has the presence of mind to, tell our staff to actually, hey, this person didn't sign up, but they might, please make a follow-up. And because they're, like you when you're running late, they're thinking of they're thinking of the next project they got to work on or court, the next day, and they don't always think of that. So, but, that's our struggle is getting it from the consultation to the follow-up funnel.
Yeah.
But I'd recommend Pipedrive. It's pretty cost-effective.
I have to take a look at that because that is something that I found out in looking at some of our competitors. I talked to 3 or 4 people, and only one called, and they only called once. And then you're just left to die. And like I said, with follow-up, I mean, if somebody finds somebody else or asks you to not call, then we're certainly respectful of that.
You don't call every day. You space it out.
As it gets older, we call less frequently. But we'll follow up, every month or every couple months. Or sometimes people will say, I'm thinking about that in 6 months, and then we'll put that, in the tickler file so that it comes up in 6 months. And we book stuff, as long as a year out, and the person who follows up on that, will typically get 3 or 4 jobs, through that process a week. So.
Yeah. So, Ron, thanks so much for sharing your wisdom with us today. If someone wants to call you for some grout medic services, some grout repair or cleaning, how can they reach you?
Yeah, we cover a pretty wide area, so we do work like in Oak Park out to Winfield, and then pretty much anything south of there, and this side of Route 59, the east side of Route 59. And our phone number is 630-665-GROUT. That's 630-665-4768. And our website is www.groutguy.com.
Okay. So. And if you'd like to schedule an initial consultation with me, you can call me at 630-324-6666. I do our business law, but we do almost every area of law. We've got 6 attorneys now, and we do just about everything. So we offer free consultations in all those areas. Go to seizeyourbusiness.com to check out more videos and podcasts. We're up over 100 episodes now, so we've got episodes on almost every topic. I want to thank Tom Weiler from Weiler Studios, that's Weiler with a Y, and WeilerStudios.com for doing our video every week. He does a great job, and he'll be happy to do one for your business. If you'd like to check out my legal podcast, go to learn-about-law.com. We have articles, videos, blogs on almost every legal topic. And again, if you need some insurance for cancer-related expenses, check out my partner Jim Wazak. Sorry, you can go to seizeyourbusiness.com to get his contact information. So, thanks so much for being here, and thanks so much for listening.